BTS, just in case I want to use it in the
see.
documentary.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Your event is starting. Your life.
All right. Welcome to Calling It Like It Is. Very special guest here today. Very special show. I'm not in front of my computer, so that's
I noticed
unique
that.
for the show.
Quite an astute observation.
No green screen. A little bit better than a green screen, I'd say. Probably back
Slightly,
there.
just a tad.
Yeah, it's actually stock footage back there. So.
Stock footage of Utopia, which is pretty much this scenery that we've got here. It's
Yeah.
been quite lovely here
Yeah,
in
it has been.
Townsville, Australia.
Yeah, Bitcoin Cash City Conference is why we're here. How has your experience been so far? Have you been using Bcash everywhere?
I have been using Bcash everywhere. It's been pretty fun. I've enjoyed it. A great group of people. I think that I've enjoyed most of all the dev talks. So they happen after the conference ends each day, because you get a really raw idea of what's going on in the space.
Right.
People talking about issues, people talking about new tech that hasn't been announced yet. You kind of get, it's like a behind the scenes kind of look.
Right.
Conferences tend to be quite glossy,
Yeah.
and I love that, and it's all exciting and fun, but
And
you
all the
never
devs
get,
are like, hey, we need to work on this.
yeah, you
Like,
never really get an accurate representation of the space. So when I'm looking like at conferences, I always try to go to wherever the devs are and
Yeah.
just say like, so what are they actually saying about this? Like, what does the EOS camp actually think about what's going on in voter turnout? And, so those talks have been great and actually made me get even more bullish on Bitcoin Cash. It's some pretty exciting things
Excellent.
going on.
Good. Speaking of, you're very unbiased when it comes to cryptocurrencies.
Try to
it's
be.
very rare to see in the space.
But I'm very biased towards crypto.
All right, well, that's fair at least. Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously very biased towards Bitcoin Cash, but you seem to, I mean, as a journalist, it's very good to have that neutrality, and I've kind of gave up on that a long time ago. But yeah, how do you do it? How do you deal with the, how do you deal with it?
With many tears at night. What do the trolls say about me now? Oh no, is that really who I am? No, it's like, I think it's totally fine because you've just got to realize that everyone takes this very personally. When you're dealing with a person's money, it's this visceral fight, And I think that's why we're all in crypto to begin with. It's this visceral fight against the people who want to control our choices, our monetary decisions, who want to track all of our financial data. And so we are all fighting against this. I think for me, I'm a bit more open-minded in that I see different use cases for things. I do not subscribe to the idea that we're going to end up with one currency to rule them all. I think the people who do subscribe to that, it's a zero-sum game, right? And so whatever market share they can pick up from other people is great, and so they try to stamp down other camps. For me, I think that all of this is creating brand new wealth that we haven't seen before, and there are all these different nuanced use cases. The same way that, why would we need something like Patreon when we have PayPal? You can send money just as well through PayPal. So why do we need something like Patreon? Because it's this nuanced use case that basically does the same thing with a slight tweak, but it's incredibly popular because the market demands that slight tweak. And that's what you're seeing in the crypto space. You're seeing different use cases across different currencies. I think there are a lot of shitcoins out there.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of really exciting technical innovations out there too. And maybe not all the coins will survive. Maybe you'll see the tech on one side be adopted by another camp. And I think that's great. You're seeing, like, I chatted to some VCH people earlier who they, for example, the Neutrino wallet that's taken tech from Lightning Labs. Awesome tech that really smart developers had put together, but the Bitcoin Cash camp is kind of, iterating on that. You had yesterday, Josh was talking about how the guys at Wasabi Wallet, big BTC people looked at their cash shuffle function and said, thumbs up. We looked at the security audit. This stuff is great. So there is mutual respect behind the scenes between developers of different camps, and we are starting to see that come out more. But if you were to look at Twitter, you'd presume that everyone just hates each other, and I don't like that because I see a lot of cooperation in the future of crypto. I see a lot of tech building on tech from different camps, and I think that there's a place for a lot of this to coincide and coexist with each other, because there are these very nuanced use cases. Bitcoin is not Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash is not Bitcoin, They're different things, they're different use cases at this stage, and I think people need to just recognize that and like each for what they bring to the ecosystem. Yeah,
it's funny how you said the developers seem to have respect for each other, and then you have this social layers almost. So you have the more layers, right? So you have the developers, and then you have for lack of a better word, propaganda people on top to push the narratives and
The
such.
FUD spinners.
The FUD spinners, of course. And so, yeah, it's always good to talk to the developers and see what's actually happening. But yeah, like you said, like the neutrino thing from Lightning Labs and Cash Shuffle the other way.
And there are some things, because Bitcoin is inherently conservative, you know, that's their edge, right? They really
Which Bitcoin?
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin Core, BTC.
So they don't implement changes rapidly. Their whole their whole plan is, let's be careful with this because this is so important. We want it to be the securest as possible. You know, let's not just add things in because every time you have a fork, it does introduce attack vectors and things like that. So I think that their developers are developing this really interesting tech a lot of the time that they're just not implementing. The same way that Litecoin goes in and implements the tech before Bitcoin ever gets near it, even though it's sometimes the Bitcoin people who are developing this. I think that that's really interesting, and the whole ecosystem benefits from that. So I would love to see a future where there's it will never stop the bickering, but where there's at least respect for the work that's going on there, even if they're not implementing this.
Not quite Bitcoin like it can be on other things, like I know there's like Litecoin, Lightning already.
Right.
And I know basically when transaction malleability gets fixed even more, I don't know like how fully you can fix it. That's a little bit over my head, but I know like technically you could put on Bitcoin Cash too. And so yeah, it's all these interchangeable things and all these different coins working together, borrowing from each other.
Yeah, and we seem to, like, especially with Lightning, a lot of people are like, well, Lightning, the people behind Lightning, and they don't realize that there are 4 distinct teams that are competing with each other and also cooperating in a lot of ways to build this tech and get it out there. It's not like there's the Lightning team, you know. There are a lot of, Lightning Labs and Blockstream and all these people have these developer tools, and I think that a lot of that kind of gets dumbed down on social media and people don't realize what's actually going on and the interplay between a lot of these actors. So it is what it is. We do what we can.
Yeah. It's like as like journalists, it's kind of up to us to kind of translate this developer talk and simplify the hell out of it, right? And it's very difficult sometimes because all of a sudden you'll like misinterpret something and it's completely wrong. And so it's a very interesting spot to be a journalist of sorts.
Well, for sure. And I don't come from a tech background at all. I would say I come from an economics background, so that's really my foundation in the space, is understanding monetary policy. And before crypto, that was something I was really interested in. And so when crypto came along, I was like, yes, yes, this is the thing. And so I think maybe that laid the foundation for me to be open-minded, because honestly, like I don't care which one of these coins wins. I just want to see the control get taken out of the hands of government. I think the governments are hurting so many people. Not only is fiat, like US dollar, AUD, it's not only debased, but it's in this system, it's in the state of perpetual institutionalized debasement. And yet people are still holding this when there are alternatives out there. I think our job as journalists is to educate people and say there are better options out there. Like, why would you hold a currency that has lost 97% of its value in the last 100 years? Why would you hold it for another 100? You'd
Sounds
have
like
to
a shitcoin.
You'd have to be stupid. The USD is the biggest shitcoin of them all, right? And that's why it kind of bothers me when you get a lot of bickering and all of this energy devoted, to shutting down the voluntary currencies out there, when you have governments literally like destroying our wealth before our eyes. I would love to see the politicians get attacked by these trolls. I would love to see people going after the president of Venezuela and saying, dude, like, what are you doing? You're hurting so many people.
Speaking of Venezuela, sorry to cut you off, but
go ahead.
There was this guy who had a textile shop in Venezuela. It was a Coinspace article, and the government, he was paying his employees in Bitcoin. So super awesome, right? Actually, really use case. Anyways, the government came and shut him down and fined him 3 Bitcoin.
Jeez.
So there you go, the Venezuelan.
No, that's stuff so that's what really excites me about decentralized currencies, and that's why it is a paradigm shift, because you've had alternative currencies in the past, you've had digital currencies in the past, and they have been shut down one by one, because as soon as you have a currency that grows large enough to be more than just a novelty, that's a threat to the government, and they shut it down. What Bitcoin revolutionized was the fact that we could decentralize currency and have something where you can't just unplug the server, you can't put the CEO in jail. This is something that's decentralized and can't be shut down. They could write on a piece of paper that they ban it. If that happens, that would be devastating, but they can't stop it.
Right.
You know, the same way that government has a terrible track record of stopping anything. Look at the Prohibition era, you know? So they can write whatever they want on a piece of paper. Enforcing this stuff is a different question, and that's what's exciting to me. And that's what Bitcoin brought to the table when it was invented, because this is finally an alternative currency that cannot be shut down. And now you have all these iterations, and now you have corporations trying to release their own currency. This has opened the floodgates, you know, and shown people that government doesn't need to be inextricably linked to the creation of money. We don't need to depend on them for that. This is not a role that is reserved for governments any longer. Sovereign individuals can create their own currencies now. You have Spice Coin, Spice Token,
I was going to bring it up. What do you think about that Spice car out there?
That Spice car is ridiculous. It is so ridiculous. You guys, I can't even.
The spice must flow. Spice is the ultimate Bitcoin. So,
oh my God. No, but even that, I think that is so great, because it's just shifting our understanding of what money is, and that's such an important mindset, because for too long people have relied on government for all these things that they don't need to be a part of. Money is right up the top of there, right?
Yeah.
Because when you control the money supply, you control everything. When you force people to use this traditional financial structure, you force them into the banking institutions, you're saying we are custodians of your money, you must get permission for us before you can use that money. We've shifted that around. We can now be our own banks, and we can control our own finances. We can have financial sovereignty and financial privacy. That's a paradigm shift, and it makes me so excited.
Yeah, I mean, you see that happening in Bitcoin Cash City here.
Absolutely.
Have you been using it around here?
I have. So it's been so exciting. So I was in the taxi the other day. There's like one taxi company here in Townsville, and they accept Bitcoin Cash, and they've gotten so much business over this conference.
I'm sure.
Hopefully that's like a sign to other companies to say, listen, if you offer this stuff, people will come, because that's what happened. You had, we were in the car, and he's like, yeah, we accept Bitcoin Cash, but I've never used it before.
Yeah.
And so
I did the same thing today too, yeah.
And then he was like, all right, and he pulled up his pad and he goes, da-da-da-da, and scans the thing, and it's done.
Yeah.
There was no like, how does this work? Like, it was so easy for him. That was exciting to see, because I remember doing that like in 2013, and you'd get into a taxi and you'd be like, I'll pay you in Bitcoin or whatever was around back then, and they'd be like, and it'd kind of be this cumbersome process. To see how much things have been streamlined these days is really exciting. There's like a candy dispenser inside, which is both the love of my life and also the bane of my existence, because I have way too much chocolate at all times.
Yeah, you can't get too much more popular.
But yeah, no, I was using that, so that was great. Last night we went to the biggest Bitcoin Cash meetup, and we all paid with Bitcoin Cash. I love seeing that the merchants who are supporting this tech are being rewarded by getting more patronage. I think that's the way.
Yeah, so that's kind of like the big question that I've had is like, yeah, it's Bitcoin Cash City, so it brings in all these Bitcoin Cash people, but like, is there other people besides us spending Bitcoin Cash too? And it seems like there is, and it's like, how do we keep promoting Bitcoin Cash crypto in general so people actually use it and not just us enthusiasts?
Well, it's something interesting that the lady, Donna, she has 2 cafes in northern Queensland, and she was talking in her presentation about how when she gets people to pay in her store, she actually says, now will you be paying with Bitcoin Cash? And most of them go, what is that? And that's just like a vehicle, an entry point for her to explain, well, it's this alternative currency. You get a discount if you use it.
Right.
There are all these perks to getting involved. So I think stuff like that is amazing for adoption.
Yeah, and like going back to when you said a couple minutes ago about streamlining the process, so the Bitcoin Cash Merchant is the point of sale system that everybody's using. So you put in the number, the amount, and QR code comes up. I've been using this wallet called Crescent Cash, which is Bitcoin Cash wallet, and I turned on Instant Send is what it's called. Okay. And so like you put in a top limit, but you literally scan like a BIP70 invoice QR code. You scan it, put in your pocket, and it's send already. Like you don't have to slide or anything. So it's so freaking streamlined. Like you literally scan it and just walk it away. I think Bitcoin.com's implementing it too, but it's like, it's so damn easy. Like I'm gonna go back to the States and like put my card in the credit card reader, wait like 5 seconds.
Authorize
denied.
Put your PIN in. Okay. There's all this. Yeah, no, it's amazing. Like there are a lot of archaic things that persist in financial institution because, one, they haven't had an incentive to improve for a really long time,
Yeah.
especially in money. You know, at least when you come to payment providers, you have new people on the scene who are trying to innovate, but the government just clamps down on so much of it. Like if you look at what PayPal wanted to be when they first started, it's nothing like what they are today. You know, the government immediately shut that down. So they said, okay, well, we'll pivot and we'll become this other thing. So the government does have the power to do that, right? And that means that there's just very little innovation that happens in finance. Now we have this alternative money, this alternative payment system that they can't shut down. They can't say CEO of Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash and EOS and whatever else.
Yeah,
you know?
imagine coming to all these stores and confiscating the iPads.
No, it's like enforcement of that is
Yeah,
just
it's-
crazy.
yeah.
So what you're seeing is tremendous amount of innovation. And although I kind of knock the kind of competitiveness, like I love competition in this space because you're seeing people push themselves and trying to get out products fast and look at usability, look at what consumers want and provide good services. And I'm loving seeing the innovation happening in money now.
All right, so I gotta ask, do you think you would ever see a Bitcoin Core City Conference?
Did you just like say that in the damn loud Bitcoin core?
I mean, because
I can't say it out loud because it's such a dirty word.
It'd be like Bitcoin City Conference, but it's really like the crap version of Bitcoin.
Listen, you will have your opinion. I will have mine. Personally,
But-
I like Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin Cash. That is allowed.
But
that
yeah,
is
it is allowed,
Yeah.
but I don't know if you'd see it in stores and see it.
So
in the
you
city
did
like
see
that.
it. You saw it like years and years ago,
Yeah, but
where
that-
you'd go to Berlin and
that
there'd
was
be like
before all the
Bitcoin
crap happened.
Alley, and but that's the thing. Bitcoin has pivoted, it seems.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why I make a point of saying these are two different coins at this stage. You know, Bitcoin, like what they say about each other is totally true. Why don't you both go like, that is accurate and just part ways, because Bitcoin is like, this shouldn't be used for buying your coffee. That's not what we want. We want the most secure layer possible. That means like smaller blocks and all this thing that they say. And the Bitcoin Cashers are like, you guys are terrible at making everyday purchases. I was like, guys, you're both saying the exact same things, but you're saying it as this attack on the other. Yes, Bitcoin Cash is much better for everyday transactions in small amounts, right? Lightning may become a solution. It's not there yet. It has a long way to go before it has the usability that something like Bitcoin Cash does, but it's another viable option out there. Bitcoin itself as a base layer, not good for that stuff. And people, they're after us.
Yeah.
It's the NSA and the bye-byes and all of them. So I just think that people need to recognize that, yes, Bitcoin did have that, and that was part of what Bitcoin was about. It doesn't seem like that's what it's about now, and that's fine. I still find Bitcoin immensely valuable for other reasons now.
Sure.
But Bitcoin Cash really has taken over that stronghold. So I don't think you would see the same like adoption in terms of merchants, but look at traditional finance, the way that they're getting involved with Bitcoin and using that, like introducing like your futures trading and introduce like Fidelity as part of your retirement fund, all of that stuff. I mean, that's kind of the use case of Bitcoin, it seems. That's the trajectory they're going in. That's interesting as well. I think they're both valid.
Sure. So I think we're about running out of time. Anything else you want to add about Australia? Where are you from originally, by the way?
I'm from
Were you-
Perth. So just a quick 6.5-hour plane trip away. Just going to jot over there before I head home. So from Perth, and then been in the States for the last like 9 years.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
But it's nice to be back, and it's nice to see. I think this is the first cryptocurrency conference we've had in Australia. We've had like large conferences that are mainly tech, where you have like a small blockchain strand. This is the first one that I've seen that is a crypto conference, and it's interesting that it's Bitcoin Cash, and it's interesting that it's in Townsville. Both of them kind of blew my mind.
Yeah.
But it's been great, and just chatting to the people here, learning about what's going on in the crypto ecosystem here has been really exciting. I wish them all the best. I'm going to support their businesses while I'm here. I hope others do as well, and I hope that people patronage places wherever you are that offer alternative ways of paying, because honestly we're moving towards a cashless society. Australia's just implemented, or they're in the process of implementing, a ban on cash payments up to $10,000, which is terrifying.
I heard the politicians don't have to follow it though.
Oh my God, yeah. So there's this little hidden clause in there that says, surprise, surprise, politicians are exempt from this cash ban. They can get and receive as much cash as they want. Like, thanks, government. No, but you've got this crazy trajectory towards this cashless society that is very scary. Australia is always a test case for the rest of the world, so you can bet that America is going to follow suit very soon. And I just think that, in the digital age, where it's so convenient to whip out your plastic and just pay for things. I really think we need to be making more proactive choices and using coins that, using currencies that will enable us to protect our financial sovereignty. We need to support the merchants that accept Bitcoin Cash. Otherwise, they're going to stop accepting it. It's a lot of upkeep to train your staff to use these things, and to get all the accounting that's required. It's a division of a diversion from their business. So make sure you're supporting them. Make sure it's worth their while. And I think that's the best thing we can be doing to promote cryptocurrency usage and financial sovereignty.
Just use it. One last thing. Have you seen the building where they are based out of Bitcoin, like all the Bitcoin Cash businesses? There's a big old Bitcoin Cash
is
logo
there?
on the
No,
side.
I haven't seen
you have
it.
to check it out. It's pretty funny.
That's really cool. I will check that out.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll call that. So.
Goodbye.
Bye now. Stop that stream. Thank you so much.